So one of my favorite brand discoveries of the last couple of years has been the brand Les Eaux Primordiales. Are you guys familiar with this house? They're actually having an event here in San Francisco. The brand is carried over at Ministry of Scent. I'm going to be there during the event, and hopefully you guys will be able to attend if you're close by or live in San Francisco. Let me give you some details. The event is at Ministry of Scent at 962 Valencia Street this Thursday, February 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. You can meet the sales director for Les Eaux Primordiales, and you'll meet me as well if you guys are interested in meeting me. And I can show you some of the fragrances of this house because I am a fan of this house. I actually discovered this brand at Javoy in Paris in 2022. And I've been a fan of several of their fragrances. In fact, I did a video last year on the house. You can go catch that video. But in this video, I'm doing a video on some of their spring floral fragrances since spring is around the corner. So if you're curious to learn about Les Eaux Primordiales and some of their spring fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about Les Eaux Primordiales. Let me know if you're familiar with this house. Those of you that live in France might have easier access to these fragrances. The brand is now sold at Ministry of Scent. As I said, they started carrying the brand last year, and I feel like this year they're going to roll out a lot of other retailers here in the States. But again, I've been a fan of their fragrances. In fact, one of my favorite launches of last year is their fragrance of Vahine Supermassive, this one right here. And that brings me to the question, what are these names that they come up with? Because they have multiple collections, and it's the name of a, like, for example, we've got Magnolia Supercritique here. And so they have the name of a note, and then they have a name of a collection. That's how they organize the fragrances. So they have the Superclassique collection, which features one of my favorites from the house, Mécanique Intuitive, this one right here. So I spoke about that in the previous video. Then the Supercritique collection. Bottles are in white, and this is one of the rose fragrances, or a rose fragrance I'm going to talk to you about today. Then we have the Superfluide collection, and this is Ombre Superfluide. From what I hear, this is the most popular of the brand. And then the Supermassive. They only have one fragrance in this collection, and I believe they're going to come out with another in the collection. And the Supermassive collection are extrait de parfum, so they're, higher concentration. And then last but not least, I think there's also one other collection. Perhaps it's one item by itself. I think it's just one fragrance that's exclusive to Harrods. It comes in the beautiful Harrods green color. But yeah, again, a really great house. The fragrances are created by Arnaud Poulin and also Amélie Bourgeois, who co-create the perfumes. Again, the event is this Thursday. If you're around, please stop by, and so I can introduce you to the brand, and also the folks at Ministry of Scent and Nicolas from the brand can introduce you to the house. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the first fragrance that I'm going to talk to you about. Remember, spring floral fragrances, and we're talking about 3 fragrances from the Supercritique collection, and they come in white bottles like these. They're all very simplistic bottles with nice caps on top, and the Supercritique collection are, I think, floral focused, if I'm not mistaken, because everyone I've seen is floral focused. And then lastly, I should also say, before I get started with the Magnolia Supercritique, there is another fragrance that's launching. It is iris. It's an iris focused fragrance, which I'm going to tell you about at the end of the video. So Magnolia Supercritique features notes of Osmanthus, Ylang-Ylang orange blossom, vanilla, apricots, figs, Frangipani flower. According to the website for Les Eaux Primordiales, it says, inspired by the naive paintings of Henri Rousseau, this primordial flower with its Vahine allure evokes the beauty of a luxuriant jungle. Ylang-Ylang, vanilla, and Osmanthus reveal all the delicacy of this flamboyant nectar. We immerse ourselves with the perfume as if bathing in the turquoise waters of a tropical island. So also, I forgot to mention what the name of this house means. Les Eaux Primordiales basically means primordial waters. So waters, eau, perfume, all liquid and things like that. So what do we get with this Magnolia Supercritique? Let me tell you something. I was recently walking around with a friend in the streets of San Francisco during light rain and things like that. We've had plenty of rain. And Magnolia were blossoming. Like they were so overly blossomed. And it's not your traditional big white magnolias. They were smaller ones. But as soon as I'd get under the trees, the essence, the smell of this magnolia was just overwhelming and very, very intoxicating. And for me, one of my favorite white flowers is Magnolia. I love the beautiful flowers. They're just gorgeous. They're huge, they're big, and also they're not very fragrant, but the fact that this tree had such an overgrowth of magnolia that when you get under there, even in cool weather, because it's winter weather, cold and rainy, there was so much aroma under there. It was just beautiful, extremely beautiful. So I do enjoy magnolia and fragrances, and if you like magnolia as a flower, or you like a floral note that's not super intense, definitely check out the fragrances featuring magnolia. There's a white floralcy about it, and then there's a light lemony touch about it. But with this fragrance, Magnolia Supercritique, we have Osmanthus and Ylang-Ylang. So we've got that Osmanthus, which has characteristic of the stone fruits like apricot, nectarines, and peaches, along with this yellow tropical floral note of Ylang-Ylang. So in the end, you're having a fruity floral combo of notes, tropical direction, because Ylang-Ylang is, tropical, the Frangipani is tropical, but then you have orange blossom here, the apricots amplifying the whatever stone fruit effect you get from the osmanthus. But keep in mind also, osmanthus sometimes creates a leather accord as well, so you do have a tiny bit of that here. But we've got figs, and for me it's the fruits rather than the actual leaves of the figs. And so in the end, you're basically swimming in a fruity floral fragrance with warmth under there from that vanilla note. Quite gorgeous, pretty complex for a fruity floral fragrance, and I think it'll justify having something like this during the spring months and even during the warm months. All right, let's quickly smell Magnolia Supercritique. And I'll give you a little bit more info about this one. Again, this collection does seem to be floral leaning, and if you like floral fragrances, definitely check out the Les Eaux Primordiales Supercritique collection. But with me here, the Magnolia is super amped up for sure, and you have the fruitiness that's coming in under there. Sometimes also with Magnolia flowers, you do get like a laundry-like smell with it, because it smells very clean. It doesn't go indolic and things like that. But with this one, it has that kind of laundry-like clean effect, but with all the other floral notes coming in. Overall, though, there's a soapy clean quality about this. It's very fresh. It's very white floral. It has sweetness for sure, and it wears a very elegant, really beautiful. Maybe perhaps it's leaning a little feminine because it is, after all, a floral note. But those of you that enjoy floral fragrances definitely should check this one out. And if you enjoy the fruity floral combo, definitely should check this one out. Also, I should say one last thing about white flowers, and for me, Magnolia and Gardenia mostly, but the other white florals notes as well, like jasmine and tuberose. Tuberose too. There's a creamy element about this one, so it almost seems like this very creamy, clean soap that's got this fruity and floral combo there. Really great. The laundry-like cleanness definitely comes through with all the other fruits and flowers coming in as well. It's super great fragrance, and I think it should satisfy those folks that are into magnolias. So next up, we've got Neroli Supercritique. This one right here. Remember, we are doing all three Supercritique bottles in the white bottles. Neroli is one of my favorite fragrance notes. Really absolutely love Orange Blossom Neroli. I grew up with it. It was basically, something that I was, given access to, and just had plenty of it around while I was growing up. So it's a given I enjoy Neroli Orange Blossom fragrances. And in here, I read that they were going into more of a gourmand direction, and I was actually anticipating something very gourmand, maybe perhaps kind of something like Love Don't Be Shy from Kilian. It doesn't go there, but you do experience the creamy gourmand qualities of this fragrance for sure. But if you're looking for something like Love Don't Be Shy, you're not going to get that because it's not sugary sweet. But Neroli Supercritique has notes of neroli, orange blossom, vanilla, jasmine, aldehydes, mandarin, tuberose, petitgrain, bergamot, white musks, and gaiac woods. So it has some woods, and it has that vanilla. Those are in the base basically, but it's up top, very fresh, floral. citrus floral, and also aldehydic. So because of this, you're getting a bit more of a soapy quality. And when you compare the soapiness of Magnolia Supercritique versus the Neroli Supercritique, you're getting more of a soapiness with Neroli Supercritique versus the Magnolia Supercritique. For me also, Magnolia Supercritique is a bit more laundry soap, and here with Neroli Supercritique, it's more of a hand soap, a very luxurious, creamy hand soap. But again, as I was saying, I was looking for something a bit more gourmand. It doesn't really go gourmand, but it does sweeten up because we've got vanilla and gaiac wood. But it's a very, very creamy experience, and it's, I should say something like it's Love Don't Be Shy light. I don't know, every time I smell fragrances that feature this kind of creamy vanillic notes against the white floral, citrus floral notes of orange blossom and neroli, that's the first fragrance that comes to mind. This doesn't go that direction. So I would say it's a gourmand light, but still very much highlighting the orange blossom, neroli, even the petitgrain, which is off that same tree, the bitter orange tree, throwing in other floral notes, and of course the aldehydes. Whenever you see aldehydes, you do get a soapiness to begin with, and also neroli orange blossom has a soapy effect. The two together, it's a soap bomb, right? A really great creamy, sweet, citrus floral, white florals, soap bomb, I should say. So Neroli Supercritique, really great fragrance. I think these three fragrances, like I said, are perfect for springtime and even better during the summertime. Some of you might be too overwhelmed with the sweet notes, and I think definitely double check before you wear, ample amounts of it in the summertime. But for me, with the fact that the vanilla is not super strong, I think I can totally get away with that one in the heat of the summer. Let me go ahead and quickly smell Neroli Supercritique for you as well. If you've already gotten your nose on these three fragrances, do let me know. And if you're a fan of the house also, let me know. Put a comment down below. But very much a really, really great, really delicious, clean, very clean Neroli fragrance. Definitely the vanilla's there, but you are getting the stabs of the greenness from the petitgrain. There's that bitter green, orangey kind of a smell that I absolutely love petitgrain. In fact, one of my favorite trees in the world is the orange tree, any citrus trees, and when they're blooming, you gotta just go hang out under those trees and you can smell the intoxicating smell of the citruses. And this one definitely, puts that whole tree alive because, you're focusing on neroli, the orange blossom, which is basically the same flower, a different way to extract the essences. And then, of course, the bitter orange leaves, the petitgrain note. And last but not least, it's Rose Supercritique, this one right here. So out of the three, I really enjoy this particular one for its complexity, because I feel like it's going into an amber resinous direction with the rose, which is really, really great. I enjoy that. But Rose Supercritique has notes of rose with vanilla, pink pepper, bergamot, blackcurrant, cardamom, myrrh, incense, raspberry, spice tea, and ambroxan. So it's quite complex. It's also a bit green. There's a greenness coming in from like a stemmy rose kind of a thing. Maybe it's the tea that's providing this greenness. Something in here provides a bit of greenness, and it feels like it's a young rose rather than a very mature and fragrant rose kind of a thing. But the combination is great. You got these ambery notes, resinous notes, the smokiness does come in, the spiciness of the black pepper also. That combination is great. Kind of sort of reminding me a little bit of rose incense from the house of Amouage, but it's not a rose incense fragrance. It's just the incense is there to give it this complexity with all these different layers of things that are going on with it. It's definitely going into a bit of a Middle Eastern direction as well, and the combination is quite great. I enjoyed wearing this particular fragrance. Out of the three, this is my favorite, and I feel like this one is more complex with the fact that it has all these very dense and complex notes. So this one probably might not be a summer wear. I'm sure you can get away with it with, a couple of spritz of it, but I wouldn't heavily douse yourself with this one. The Neroli and the Magnolia for sure. It's a lot fresher, and since this is going into the amber direction, I would say this one, control your sprays. But it's my favorite of the bunch. It smells fantastic, and I really love the ambery direction with the spices along with the rose. It makes for kind of a young rose with all this like warmth around it, trying to warm it up kind of a thing. But let's go ahead and quickly smell Rose Supercritique. I didn't read this info for this one. And did I read the info on the previous fragrance? I didn't. Let me read you the Rose Supercritique. The first perfume in the Supercritique collection, the majestic rose is reinvented here in an oriental palace. Notes of spice, tea, incense, and vanilla imbue this rose with the allure of a queen of Sheba, voluptuous and sensual. Yeah, it's the incense that stands out against the rose. It does remind me of rose incense for sure, but you've got a lot more things happening here. There's fresh spices, warm spices. There's the resinous touches, the sweet resin touch of the myrrh. There's a bit of fruitiness as well, and of course the spice tea. It's almost like you're having rose tea with all this depth, you know, like a very complex flavor to the max, kind of a rose tea kind of a thing. Really great fragrance, but the only other thing I should repeat in mentioning is the fact that I'm getting like a rose stems greenness in here, and something is creating some kind of an effect for me perhaps. But a really great fragrance, Rose Supercritique. And also, I should just quickly read you about the Neroli Supercritique. Arnaud Paulin offers a gourmand interpretation of the orange blossom. It conjures up the joy of an afternoon in the Jardin Majorel of Marrakech, where Neroli and jasmine perfume the ultramarine blue-tinted pathways. Here he revisits the orange blossom like a deliciously sweet oriental pastry. And as I said, this one is not super amber, it's not super gourmand, but it kind of is gourmand light. And last but not least, I do want to say there is a new fragrance that's launching. Hopefully I'll be able to get my nose on it at the event here in a few days. It's called Iris Palladium. And I believe it's a remake or a redo or a reformulation of an original fragrance from 2015, I think. But it features notes of iris, mugwort, cilantro, gaiac wood, cedar, cardamom, lavender, violet, sandalwood, amber, benzoin, and vanilla. I haven't seen cilantro come up in fragrances much. I see coriander, but never the actual herb itself. Cilantro, coriander are the seeds. So we'll see how this Iris Palladium is. If you've gotten your nose on it, do let me know. And again, that's all I have for you today in this video. The event is in a few days. That's February 22nd, 5 to 7. I'll be there. Just come and meet me and say hi, and I'll show you the collection. It's at 962 Valencia Street in San Francisco. Anyway, and thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.